Bobby pushed me on the swing again. I never go for that.
Money, money, money. That's what makes the world go round.
Who greenlit this piece of shit? No, seriously. What drugs did the creator of this story take so I can make a public service announcement to outlaw that shit? Because this movie is a fucking fever dream. This movie is a fever dream. It makes little to no sense. It drags like a 20-foot anaconda after it just ate a capybara. It drags that much. The villains are the Chop Trio. I mean, these are some of the worst villain designs that I've seen in the horror genre, and kids horror especially, because, you know, you got good kids horror villains out there. You've seen stuff like the Zorgons from Zathura. You've seen the new movie Pumpkinhead with that scarecrow. You've seen Haunting Hours, Don't Think About It. And then you got these three ugly fucks, Ed, and Eddie. Ugly, and uglier. I mean, these guys are horrible villains. The characters, they have atrocious dialogue. What was the point of this movie? Thank God the only solace to this movie is one, Linda Blair is in it, and she's a MILF. And second, it came out in 2003, which is a year after I was born, so I was way too young to even care about this thing. And it only aired for a few years on Hallmark, so I would have been still way too young to remember this movie. So I never saw it on reruns. I never saw it on cable. And God really spared my life and an hour and 30 minutes of my life back then. But not now. Not now. I had to rope myself into this piece of crap. So I'm going to be talking about it, what little I can about the plot that's coherent enough for my explanation. I'll try my best. And then I'll get into the minor one positive and then the negative. So at least you guys can find out this movie exists. I doubt a lot of you even know about this thing. So hey, at least you get some type of exposure therapy from this video, I hope. So this movie opens up with a new kid and his single mom who are moving into a new neighborhood, a new house where the mom is a caretaker. She works as a nurse and she's going to be caretaking after this retired movie director, essentially. And of course, the kid is not very excited. You know, he doesn't like the idea of moving. He's kind of a nerd. He's really into like monsters and old school horror movies and Universal monsters and stuff like that. He's a real geek when it comes to that stuff. And he gets bullied at school for it. Matter of fact, the bully you get here is forgot his name, but he's the older brother in Wizards of Waverly Place, the sitcom that I grew up watching. I forgot, it's like David something, but it's a little kid version of him here. He's the bully, of course. He's giving and ragging on the main character, and the main character ends up finding this girl who befriends him, and he invites her over to the house because he ends up finding this extremely rare unreleased horror movie that was by the director that his mom is taking care of and who owns the house. The movie in the basement was called Monsters on the Loose. It was unreleased, it's super rare, and the girl's uncle apparently is super into horror movies, so she wants to go see it to kind of honor her uncle and kind of check out what it's all about. So he invites her over on Halloween night to come watch it with them as a little kind of pseudo date, and things go bad because a lightning storm ends up basically crashing into the house. A lightning bolt hits into the movie that's being projected on screen. It's a very cheesy black and white old kind of monster movie, and the monsters in the film end up honoring the title. They end up coming out, and it's up to the main character and the girl and the mom and the town, because everyone gets involved, to find a way to defeat these monsters, get them back into the movie, and do it as soon as possible, because the movie director, who probably would know what to do, overdosed almost on sleeping pills. So he's basically out the entire movie. So it's up to the ragtag team to go figure out things. And that's essentially the plot, as much of the coherent parts that I can go ahead and give away to you. This movie blows chunks. That's the nicest way to put it. It is such a fever dream of a movie. Okay, it's all over the place. There's no real coherent plot. I mean, again, you have the basic setup that I told you, but then when the monsters come out, they don't really do anything. It's not like they like attack anybody or destroy anything. They just sort of like wander around the suburb and just kind of do random shit. Run into some people with some, you gotta believe me stuff kind of being thrown around the movie, which is always good. Totally not sarcastic there. And the characters, they have dog shit dialogue. I mean, listen to some of these lines.
Wee, mommy pushed me on the swing again. I never put on the pedal.
Money, money, money. That's what makes the world go round.
Or an attractive new host for yours truly.
This kid's got a vocabulary.
Like your mother.
On top of that, you have the main character and the girl and the bully, who all sound like prepubescent. They just got like real squeaker voices, just real high-pitched, annoying voices. The girl is like super like shisty. She like backhand compliments the main character all the time. Like there's a line in the movie where she's like, you know what? You're a really nice guy, but you're like the furthest thing that screams hero. I was like, damn, bitch. And I know what Alfie said, oh, Horrorlander, you can't call a little girl a bitch. That ain't right. Man, fuck y'all. And fuck that bitch, all right? She hit my man with the backhanded insult. That's not cool, bro, all right? Okay, like, come on, bro. And she keeps doing these, like, side-handed remarks throughout the whole movie. It's like, okay, you're not rootable. You're just acting bitchy the whole movie. Especially to my guy, who's trying to figure out the situation and kind of save y'all asses, He's trying to save the day. And y'all giving him flack like that. The mom, she's, I don't know. The mom is, again, a MILF. Shout out to Linda Blair. But she just kind of just complains. The whole movie is very stern. But for some reason, and this is a problem with the movie, as soon as the crazy shit starts happening, all the adults don't take much to be convinced on believing, and I just made fun of the whole you gotta believe me thing. I don't like the you gotta believe me trope where, adults are not gonna believe them, and yet the kids are always trying to convince them. But here, the mom, takes very little anything substantial evidence to convince her that crazy shit's going on. And I'm like, okay, don't you need a little bit more than that? You would think that some of these characters would require a little bit more evidence as adults to actually believe in all the wild stuff that's happening with the premise of the movie. But they don't. They just sort of buy into it to just kind of run the plot along and get the plot devices going. That's what happens. So I didn't like that. The fact that, you gotta believe me is annoying, but at the same time, if you got characters who just sort of go with the script and don't even push back against any of the ridiculous shit happening, that doesn't make it anywhere near as believable as you may think it does. Furthermore, the Halloween spirit's just kind of shoehorned in there. It's not really like it is a Halloween movie technically, but you don't feel like it's a Halloween movie. You got some real cringy stuff when they're setting up their little movie night date, the mom apparently makes the kid go out trick-or-treating, and then he comes back, and then the girl's like, oh, you went out trick-or-treating? He's like, no, I got ingredients for my mom's Halloween casserole, which sounds disgusting. And then she comes back with a trash bag filled with popcorn mixed in with chocolates and candies that he got from trick-or-treating. Still in the wrappers. Thanks, Mom. And if all that doesn't get to you, the villains are horrible. I mean, the three monsters in this movie, one of them is a living ghost, which is supposed to possess people, which is just a scapegoat for them to not have to do any monster effects for him. They just make any normal cast member into this ghost-possessed person, which is really cheap. And when he's possessing all these different people, they have the same gimmick where it'll be like a whirly spinning Twilight Zone screen to show the ghost is outside of somebody's body. And then when the ghost enters their body, they'll start all doing the same stretches and cracking their fingers. They all hit that same emote. They all hit the same emote of the rolling and cracking the neck, stretching and doing that. That's the go-to gimmick emote for everybody getting possessed. The Rat Man, not Ratma, No. Ratma from VHS 94 is absolute nightmare fuel, terrifying, awesome practical effects because it was an animatronic. No, this ain't Ratma. This is Ratman. But he's called Verman, you know, like a play on vermin. His whole thing is he's like the Hulk. He was in like a radioactive field and apparently got infected by this rat disease. I don't know. And anytime he smells trash, he just transforms from this, you know, bum, this homeless bum, this hobo. Well, actually, I can't say homeless bum because he took offense to that. He prefers the term hobo or down on his luck. So yeah, this down on his luck hobo turns into this rat humanoid type of thing every time it smells trash. Like if it passes by a landfill or some dumpster, you know, I don't know why. You know, in that case, Verman is not just his rat form the entire movie because he's being filmed in trash. This entire movie is fucking garbaggio, so I'm surprised he didn't stay in monster form the whole time.
Dang thing likes it.
And then you got this mannequin who looks like Clark Kent got into a car accident. I mean, he looks like Ken the Doll's stunt double. Going through a little bit too many vicious stunts. I mean, some John Wick level stunts. This thing looks crazy. And on top of that, later in the movie, it gets a fucking sex change. Yeah, that's right. The ghost ends up possessing the little bully kid who ends up hijacking a car. So you just got kids driving vehicles full speed. And the kid ends up smashing into the mannequin and breaks him apart. And it just so happened he was driving a truck that had mannequins in the back. So the thing ends up piecing together a new body and ends up taking the head of like a Marilyn Monroe doll. Yo, this movie is just anything. This movie is just fucking anything. The villains have no threat level. I mean, they don't do anything the whole movie. I mean, the mannequin guy is just walking around looking at different people. The rat thing has a gimmick where it always gets its long ass python tail like stuck anywhere. Like it'll have like doors constantly slammed on its tail, and it's just like eating food and popcorn. It's always hungry. And the ghost is just looking for a host, and also low-key hitting some sexual harassment cases with the comment it made on its mom that you guys heard earlier. So, and then to hijacking a car, all right, a minor driving a vehicle. So this whole movie is just a giant train wreck, all right? It's barely a Halloween movie. The plot is all over the fucking place. The villains are garbage. Some of the worst kids horror villains you've ever seen. The dialogue is super cheesy, super corny. There's a whole ton of plot devices throughout the whole movie that you just have to kind of roll with, like the movie coming to life, the movie director almost being overdosed the whole movie, so he's asleep the entire time no matter what, and he only wakes up at the very end when the plot is needed for him, you know? The main character just sounds super whiny and whatever the whole movie. The climax wraps up in like the most kumbaya way possible. Not that that was shocking. And the twist ending kind of made sense, but also didn't make sense. So it was kind of vague. Overall, I'm going to give this thing a 3 out of 10. This is a very bad movie. And not a lot of people know this thing even exists. I mean, you gotta understand, this thing came out in 2003 on Hallmark, only aired for like 2 to 3 years, and then completely got wiped off the map. I mean, you can't even find this thing usually on the internet. You know, the place that I watched was this very obscure, like Russian website where you were able to find the movie. And I heard DVDs or whatever for it run like super duper expensive. So yeah, I guess. Thank God this movie's not popular anymore, because this is the worst kids horror movie that I've ever seen in my life. And just to keep in mind, a few years after this, you know, you had movies coming out such as Zathura, Monster House, Haunting Hours, Don't Think About It, which are relatively, you know, bangers to people. I mean, people talk about the movies, especially Monster House and Haunting Hours movie a lot. And Zathura, I grew up watching. I love that movie. You know, all the Zorgons and crazy stuff. So you had some good stuff coming out, you know, shortly after it. But this was just a train wreck that had to basically crash and burn. And then a newly built couple trains were then made and coasting smoothly through the tracks. So, yeah. If you are able to find this movie, I mean, it's on this obscure Russian website. Go look up Monster makers, the movie. I guess you can go find it and watch it if you want. Just so you can have bragging rights that I just watched the worst kids horror movie ever created. And if not, you know what? I don't blame you. If you saw the clips in my video right here and you're like, you know what, that's enough, I don't blame you. This thing is never been talked about. Usually it will never be talked about for how obscure it is, and on top of that, how bad it is. But I guess it is an interesting piece of kids horror history out there. And if you didn't know this movie existed, well, now you know. And now you know about a Halloween special that not a lot of people often talk about. And for good reason. But if you're curious out there, I do recommend you go check it out and watch it. And maybe let me know your guys' thoughts. Have you seen this movie before? Are you going to go check it out right now? And if you do, let me know what you think about it. Do you hate it as much as I do? Or do you somehow like it? I don't know if you would be that bold to admit that on my video, but more props to you. That's all I got for today. So yeah, this is the first kind of full-on negative October content video I gave you. So I'm like Thanos. We got to give everybody the balance. But upcoming content is going to be pretty positive for what I got lined up. So stay tuned for the few more Halloween videos, October content. That will be dropping the remainder of this month. And I hope you guys have been enjoying Horrorweentown University so far. So that's all I got for tonight. Goodbye.